Hello everybody, it's Rune again. Today I've got some more scary Reddit stories to read for you from r/nosleep for you to listen to while studying or sleeping or doing whatever else. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this style of content. And with that, let's get into the first story. Our first story today comes from Reddit user No Difficulty 5985, and it is titled, "My Wife Doesn't Sleep." I know it sounds messed up. Yes, I should have told her before setting up the camera. Bad to film people without their consent or whatever. Truth is, I sleep in and go to bed early. She works long hours at the hospital and both leaves and returns while I'm in dreamland. We really only see each other on the weekends. On some weekends. So forgive me for feeling like I live alone. And I should tell you, she was amazing when we knew each other. We met back in college, before I was expelled, and she was far and away the smartest person I knew, even back then. I was philosophy, she was medicine, obviously, and I remember so many late night walks and deep conversations, zigzagging around campus, thoughts and ideas I can still barely fathom. About sleep, the hard problem of consciousness, etc. She came from a rich family, and on breaks we saw the world together. My best memories are of her changing the way I saw existence, in Asian and African countries I before had never heard of, on horseback or at sea. By the time she became too obsessed with her studies to have time for me, I was already committed, already in too deep. We got married in Alaska. We honeymooned in Argentina. Moving on. I wanted to film myself sleeping because I have nightmares. They're all different, but all the same. I'm on a caravan through a desert, and we're all eating each other to stay alive. We're in the tundra and stripping naked and running off in the snow. Our submarine is taking on water, and it's too late. All the while, a thing with horns and two forked tongues runs its long fingernails up and down my body and whispers in my left ear, "You're almost there, son. You're almost there." If dreamland wasn't bad enough, the fact I kept losing things was. I was worried I was sleepwalking or something. All my possessions wandered off. So, I filmed myself. My wife, you remember her? I think I saw her once. Turns out she consistently arrives almost just as I fall asleep. I guess her shift at the hospital always ends at different times, and starts at different times based on when she leaves. And in the footage, I see the shadow of the closing apartment door, count to 5, and I jump awake. But the way she walks when she thinks no one's looking, it's like a puppet, all wobbly, jagged. Whoever's pulling the strings is jerking her limbs just a little too much. And all night, all dang night, she leans over me and scratches her long fingernails up and down my body. I see myself shiver in the footage. And she's mumbling something. I think I know what it is. I know she knows I know. Because, just now, I felt that forked tongue sliding up the back of my neck. I know she's in here somewhere. I keep pausing this writing to look around. I think I hear breathing, but every time I pinpoint where, I hear it from somewhere else. I think she's waiting for me to make a run for it. Is prey no good once it knows? Lily, I miss you. I'm gonna go ahead and submit, and I'll leave a comment to confirm I got out safe. Here goes. And well, from looking at these comments, it looked like he did not in fact come back to leave a comment to let us know he's safe, so I don't think he is safe. That's unfortunate. Okay, our next story today comes from Reddit user happy_programmer1177, and it is titled, "My girlfriend was diagnosed with early-onset dementia. I didn't think it could get this bad." It started off small. My girlfriend Steph would forget little details, things we'd brought up in the conversation before. She'd repeat her thoughts or ask me the same questions over and over again. When she started to forget what she was doing or why she was doing something, I convinced her to go to the doctor. She was embarrassed and didn't want to admit it, but even she knew something was wrong. The doctor said it was early onset dementia. I think Steph was scared that I was going to leave her after she got diagnosed. We were still young, and she knew that I still had a whole life ahead of me. She never said it out loud, but I could see it in her behavior. She might not have remembered her diagnosis, but she could tell that she was losing herself, that something wasn't quite right. She'd spend nights sobbing in my arms about how different she felt, empty. I'll never forget the way she described it. It's like someone else is living my life and I have no clue what they do. That's when she began to push people away. Friends, family, pretty much anybody but me. Instead of working, reading, or painting like she'd used to, she remained curled up in the bed, glued to her phone. For a while, it was fine. She was going through a hard time and I loved her. I wanted Steph to know that I wasn't going anywhere. After all, she was my girlfriend. When the doctor said there would be personality changes, it was fine. I thought that no matter how she changed, she would still be the Steph I fell in love with. That I would still be able to see her true self as things got worse. The real problem started a few months ago, shortly after I got home from work. I just started preparing dinner when I got a text from Steph. That's crazy timing. That noise was my phone. I don't know if that came across the microphone. But the text said, "Come upstairs." I turned off the stove, realizing that I hadn't checked up on her as soon as I arrived home. It had been a long day at work and my mind was preoccupied. Drying my hands, I headed up to our bedroom, where I could usually find her. "Hey babe, what's up?" I asked. But Steph wasn't there. I searched around the room. I checked under the bed, in the closet, in the bathroom, but she was nowhere to be seen. "Where are you?" I texted back. It showed that she read the message, but she didn't respond. I checked her location on my phone, slightly concerned that she might have left the house. Once she'd been diagnosed, I made sure that I'd be able to see where she was at all times. Steph resisted initially, but deep down I think she knew it was for her own well-being. I spent the next few minutes searching around upstairs for her, but when I could no longer find her, I returned to the kitchen. Wherever she was, she would come out eventually. I froze. The stovetop was on again. I distinctly remembered turning it off. "Steph?" I called out. She must have been there. Who else would have turned on the stove? But I heard nothing in response. I pulled my phone out again, zooming in closer on her location. Our icons were nearly overlapping. She couldn't have been more than a few feet away. I called out her name again, but I still heard nothing. That's when I began frantically searching for her. Maybe she left the house and forgot her phone? That would be even worse. She'd have no way of calling for help. If I could just find her phone, then maybe I could track her down from there. I decided to call her, just to see where it was. That's when I heard the familiar tune coming from inside one of our cabinets, the one right next to our sink. What is she doing leaving it there, I thought. I froze. When I swung the cabinet door open, I was expecting to see the phone there. I thought maybe it'd be sitting on the bottom with all the old sponges and cleaning supplies. I was not expecting to see Steph crammed inside the cabinet, her limbs at odd angles. Her body was knotted and twisted in ways I've never seen before. "Hi, James," Steph breathed out. It almost sounded like she was excited I found her, like it was some sort of game. Her glassy eyes stared past me, something she'd be doing much more frequently whenever she spoke to me. Her lips were upturned into a subtle smile. I was too baffled to move. Steph should not have been able to contort like this. Any grown adult would have been far too big to fit into a space like that. Yet, she showed no signs of pain, only enjoyment. I rushed forward, cupping her cheeks in my hands. Her head was bent at an odd angle and a line of drool ran down her face. I quickly wiped it away. "Steph, what are you doing in there? Let's get you out." I reached for her arm as I guided her out of the cabinet, trying to hide the fear in my voice. Steph didn't protest as I worked her from the space, slowly undoing limb after limb. As we made progress, I could hear the cracks in her body from sitting uncomfortably for too long. But Steph didn't show any pain or emotion. This was worse than I thought. I'd have to call Dr. Yoshihara tonight about updating her prescription. I didn't say anything about how dangerous Steph was being, about how she could hurt herself. I was too horrified to speak, but Steph broke the silence first. "What's for dinner?" Her tone was so casual that it caught me off guard. It was as if nothing abnormal had even happened. Maybe she didn't remember. "I was going to make some chicken Alfredo, your favorite. Why don't you sit on the couch for a bit? I can light up the fireplace so you're nice and cozy. A change of scenery from the bedroom might be nice." I didn't include that I wanted to keep an eye on her as well. Steph nodded and moved towards the couch. She grabbed one of the pillows, taking her seat in my spot. It was such a small detail, but it hit me like a truck. Steph's favorite spot on the couch was the rightmost part. She always said that it was more comfortable, that the stuffing of the cushions was softer there. She knew that I prefer the right-hand side, and they have eventually ended up being our assigned sections of the couch. It was the first time I'd seen her sit on my side. I told myself it didn't matter, but it felt wrong. Steph loved the other side. "Steph, honey, why don't you sit on the other side of the couch? You always said you preferred it." "I like this side," she responded. Her eyes followed me, but I could see that she was looking past me. I didn't protest. It wasn't until a few weeks later when I was sitting on the porch, reading a book with Steph, when it happened again. Once Dr. Yoshihara adjusted her medication, I figured things would be better. It was a beautiful sunny day out, and I'd poured us both glasses of lemonade to sip on, while I read one of her favorite novels to her. About 15 minutes in, Steph abruptly got up and walked into the house without saying a word. I figured she was going to use the bathroom and decided to stay where I was to soak up a little more sun. About a minute went by before I received a text from her. It said, "Can you come help me with something?" I closed my book and immediately went inside. The house was silent. Maybe she's in the bathroom? But when I checked, it was empty. "Where are you?" I texted back. "Come find me." My mind flashed to the incident that occurred a few weeks ago. I thought of her knotted body inside the cabinet. No, Dr. Yoshihara upped her dosage. There's no way it could happen twice, right? But my gut told me otherwise. I began searching through every hiding spot I could imagine. I was beginning to give up. I swear I had searched the entire house, going through closets, cabinets, even under the bed. I was rooting through the linen closet when I heard a giggle from downstairs. It was soft. It sounded like Steph's old laugh. A door slammed shut. I whipped my head around and raced downstairs. My heart thumped as I once again thought of her crammed into the cabinet. This game was too dangerous to keep playing. It was only when I entered the kitchen that I saw it. The oven was on. My breath hitched in my throat as I made a beeline towards it. I knew I was going fast, but it was as if time had warped every moment so that the seconds felt like minutes. Please don't let Steph be in there. My slick hand reached for the handle, yanking the oven door open as a warm blast of air met my face, and there she was, limbs tangled once again to fit inside the oven. I let out a yelp. There was no way she was able to do this alone. Steph's empty gaze once again met mine, a small smile on her face. She showed no signs of discomfort at the heat or her contortion. Her voice held a surprising amount of clarity for someone who was in a space that they should have been able to fit in. "You found me." "Steph, what the hell are you doing in there?" I reached up to turn off the oven before turning my attention back to my girlfriend. Her eyes, once so beautiful, now looked empty. One of her legs was wrapped around the base of her neck while her toes jutted out at strange angles. Her arms disappeared between the mess of legs and torso her body had become. She was completely folded over, twice. Even a contortionist of Steph's size shouldn't have been able to fit in there. How on earth did she do it? I tried to undo her tangled limbs, but there wasn't enough room. I would have to pull her out of the oven first. Oh God, I couldn't do that. I thought of her skin scraping against the metal rack. It was going to hurt. I didn't sign up to get my girlfriend out of a hot oven. The Steph I knew a year ago never would have done this. Who has she become? But there was no time to hesitate. I slowly pulled her out, making sure I was handling her gently, but that same smile remained plastered on her face, with cracking joints that set my heart racing. She began undoing the knots she had folded herself into as I pulled her out. I wanted to vomit. That night, I called Dr. Yoshihara and described the incident in detail. I hated that I was talking to Steph doctor behind her back, but this wasn't normal. It was dangerous and freaking terrifying. But deep down inside, it wasn't just about Steph. I needed someone else to hear this madness. I can tell this is taking a huge toll on you, James, Dr. Yoshihara said. I just don't know what to do. I don't want Steph to hurt herself, but I can't watch over her every single second. Maybe it's time to consider getting some external support. Just hearing about these incidents makes me think that her mental capabilities have declined significantly. It may be outside of your control to continue caring for her. Her offer sounded tempting. I loved Steph, but it was exhausting having to re-explain things to her constantly, to watch her every move and tell her what she liked and didn't like. I didn't want to remind her of who she was anymore. It felt like I was begging for the old Steph to come back, but she was dead, long gone. Once she'd been diagnosed, Steph made me promise that I would take care of her, that she wouldn't end up in the hands of strangers or in a home. She'd read stories online about how they could abuse their patients. It scared her. I owed it to Steph to respect her wishes for as long as I could. It's what the old her would have wanted. I'm sorry, doctor. I promised her I wouldn't. I understand. You're a good boyfriend for respecting her wishes, but if it gets out of hand, there are resources available. Bring her into the office and we'll run a few more tests, but I can't say much can be done about this sort of behavior without professionals. Over the next few months, I began to keep a closer eye on Steph. Her disappearances became more frequent. Whenever she could, Steph would slip out of my sight and send me a message prompting me to find her. She preferred small spaces. The smaller, the better. I'd catch her trying to climb up into the vents, sinks, even the laundry machine one time. Each find was more terrifying than the last. Not because of where she was hiding, but because of what could have happened. Her luck would run out eventually, and one wrong move would leave her dead. Maybe she'd cut herself, or break a lid by hiding into a place too small and puncture her lung. I didn't know what was coming, but I knew it was getting out of control. It felt like I was betraying her when I finally decided to reach out to assisted living facilities. But I'd done everything in my power to keep her safe, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I was exhausted. I knew I would be giving up a portion of my life to take care of Steph when she was diagnosed, but it was taking a huge toll on me. I was fired when I could no longer go to the office to work. I never called my parents, and I declined invitations to go out with friends. I couldn't sleep without waking up to see if Steph was still beside me. Every moment of my life revolved around making sure that Steph wouldn't hurt herself, ultimately distancing me from the people I needed most. It was a humid summer day when Steph went missing. I had spent all day looking at different facilities, trying to find the perfect place for her. One place in particular piqued my interest. It was close to here. The building looked clean and well maintained, and there were professionals on standby 24/7. I'd given them a call during the day, but they hadn't picked up. That night, Steph and I ate dinner alone in silence. She would barely eat. I'd made chicken Alfredo again, hoping it would spark her appetite, but I don't think she liked it anymore. I watched as she took slow bites, a vacant expression on her face as she chewed. Steph used to devour this dish when we first started dating. She always said that it tastes better than any restaurants, and I'd respond that it was because I made it with extra love. I was just about to ask her how the food was when my phone rang. It was the facility I'd called earlier. I excused myself from the table and stepped out onto the patio, making sure that I could still see her through the windows as I picked up the call. I explained the situation to them and inquired about the pricing. I swear I didn't look away for more than a few seconds, but when I looked up again, Steph was no longer sitting at the dinner table. Terrified, I hung up quickly, saying I'd call them back as soon as I dealt with an urgent matter. My phone dinged. She had texted me. It said, "Come find me." I scoured the entire house multiple times. Calls and texts stopped going through, and I could no longer see her location on my phone. After I spent a few hours looking through every crack and crevice in the building, I finally decided to call the police. They checked every inch of the house from top to bottom. They searched all of the spots she used to visit before she was diagnosed with dementia, even her childhood home, but nobody was able to find her. Friends and family joined in on the search, just as distraught as I was. I never had the heart to tell anybody outside of the police about the places she'd be hiding in before she went missing. I knew it was an important detail, but I wanted her to be remembered as the beautiful Steph I had fallen in love with, not an empty shell that liked to twist her way into dangerous places. It's been around 2 weeks since Steph went missing, and a weird stench has begun to permeate through the house like rotten meat. Ever since the smell got worse, I haven't been able to bring myself to find her. I knew she was here, inside the house, because Steph refused to leave as her condition worsened. I knew she was in the living room, because that's where it smelled the worst. And now I know she's in the chimney, because that's where the maggots keep coming from. Nobody ever checked the chimney, but I'm scared. Too scared to see what the infested remains of the person I once loved more than anything in the world. I'm too scared to think about what was going through her mind as she decided to stay there until her last breath. And I'm even more scared now after receiving a text from her. "Hello, James. Come find me. Come find me. Come find me." I'm starting to think it's something worse than dementia. Alright, our third and final story of today comes from Reddit user WistO, with a bunch of H's on the end. And it is titled, "If your delivery driver says he forgot your drink, don't open the door again." If your delivery driver says he forgot your drink, don't open the door again. I know how stupid this sounds because I used to read posts like this and think the same thing. Just don't open the door. Just call the police. Just get out. You never realize how useless all those thoughts are until you're standing barefoot in your hallway at midnight, holding a kitchen knife in one hand and your phone in the other, listening to someone breathe on the other side of your front door. It started with Thai food. I had just moved into my new apartment 3 weeks earlier. Nothing dramatic, no haunted backstory, no weird old building with a caretaker who warned me about the basement. Just a normal second floor apartment above a row of shops. The kind of place where the hallway always smelled faintly of carpet cleaner and someone else's dinner. I'd moved there after my breakup with Lewis. We'd been together for 4 years. He wasn't dangerous or evil or anything like that. He was just useless in that quiet, exhausting way that makes you feel like you're raising a grown man. When he finally left, I felt sad for about a week and then mostly relieved. For the first time in a long time, the place was mine. My mugs in the cupboard, my clothes in the wardrobe, my music playing without him asking if we could put something else on. That night, I got home late from work. It had been raining all day and my shoes were soaked through. I didn't have the energy to cook, so I ordered from the Thai place down the road. Green curry, jasmine rice, spring rolls, and a Diet Coke. The app said 25 minutes. I changed into my pajamas, washed my face, and sat on the sofa scrolling my phone. I remember feeling almost peaceful. That's the part that bothers me now. How normal it all was. How close I came to having an ordinary, boring night. At 10:43, my buzzer went. I pressed the intercom. "Hello?" "Delivery." His voice was soft, youngish maybe, hard to tell through the speaker. "Second floor, flat 6. "I know," he said. I frowned at that, but only for a second. Drivers get the flat number on the app. Obviously he knew. I buzzed him in and waited by the door. A minute later there was a knock. When I opened it, he was standing too close. That was the first thing I noticed. Most delivery drivers step back after knocking. This one was right there, almost filling the doorway. He wore a black raincoat with the hood up and one of those thermal delivery bags over his shoulder. I couldn't see much of his face, but just his mouth and a bit of stubble. "Aaron?" he asked. "That's me." He handed me the bag. "Enjoy your food." "Thanks." I took it and was about to close the door when he said, "Sorry, I forgot your drink." I looked into the bag. Curry, rice, spring rolls, no Diet Coke. It's fine," I said. "Don't worry about it." "I've got it downstairs." "Honestly, it's fine. I'll bring it up." Before I could answer, he turned and walked away. I closed the door and locked it. I don't know why I locked it so quickly. Maybe because he stood too close. Maybe because he had said my name like he already knew me. Maybe because I live alone now and living alone changes the sound of every small thing. I put the food on the coffee table and tried to shake it off. The curry was hot, the rice was still steaming, and for a few minutes I convinced myself I was being ridiculous. Then I found the receipt. It was folded under the spring rolls, not the restaurant receipt. That was stapled to the outside of the bag. This was a plain white slip of paper, torn badly at one edge. At first, I thought it was some kind of kitchen note that had fallen in by accident. Then I saw my name. Aaron M., flat 6, lives alone, no dog, chain lock only, bedroom window faces service alley, usually home after 7. I stared at it for a long time. My first thought was Lewis. It had to be Lewis. Some pathetic attempt to scare me, to make me call him, to make me feel like I still needed someone. It sounded exactly like the sort of thing he would think was clever after a few drinks. I picked up my phone and called him. He answered on the 5th ring. "What?" "Did you send me something?" "What?" "Don't play dumb. Did you send someone to my flat?" There was a pause, then a tired sigh. "Aaron, it's nearly 11. I got a note in my takeaway." "What note?" "One that says I live alone." Another pause. This one felt different. "Are you serious?" "Yes." "Where are you?" "In my flat, obviously." "Lock your door." "It is locked." No. Properly lock it." That annoyed me, even then. Like he was suddenly the sensible one. "I have locked it." "Send me a picture." I almost told him to piss off, but I took a photo of the note and sent it. He called back 10 seconds later. That wasn't me. His voice had changed. He sounded awake now. "Lewis?" "I swear on my mother, that wasn't me. Call the police." Before I could answer, someone knocked on my door. 3 soft knocks. Not loud, not aggressive, just polite. I stood in the middle of my living room with the phone against my ear. "Aaron?" Lewis said. Another knock. Then the delivery driver's voice. "Forgot your drink." I didn't move. Lewis kept saying my name, but he sounded far away. The driver knocked again. "I can leave it here if you want." I walked slowly to the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. No delivery driver. No drink. Nothing. Nada. I stepped back. My phone buzzed in my hand. A notification from the delivery app. "Your driver is at your door." I looked at the peephole again. Empty hallway. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I don't know why I answered. I think my brain was still trying to make sense of it. Still trying to turn it into something normal. "Hello?" The delivery driver said. "You shouldn't have looked at that receipt." I couldn't speak. "You were meant to eat first," he said. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor and the call stayed connected. I could hear his breathing through the speaker. Then the handle moved. Slowly. Down. Then up. Down. Then up. I had locked the door, but he was testing it gently, like he didn't want to make too much noise. I picked up the phone and ended the call. My hands were shaking so badly it took 3 tries. Then I called 999. I guess that's their regional 911. The operator asked what service I needed. "Police," I whispered. "What's happening?" "There's someone outside my flat." "Are you in immediate danger?" "Yes, I think so." "Is your door locked?" "Yes." "Can you see the person?" I looked through the peephole again. Empty hallway. "No," I said, "but he's there." As soon as I said it, the letterbox lifted. Just a little. A black gap opened near my knees. I stumbled back. The Operator asked me what had happened. He opened the letterbox. "Do not approach the door," she said. "Go into a room with a lock if you can." My bathroom had a lock. It was cheap and flimsy, but it was something. Okay, I just looked it up for clarity. A letterbox is like the same thing as like a mail slot on a door. I just want to clarify that for myself also. So he like opened up like the little mail slot and looked through. Anyways, back to the story. My bathroom had a lock. It was cheap and flimsy, but it was something. I grabbed the biggest knife from the kitchen drawer and backed toward the bathroom, I mean. The letterbox clicked shut. Then he started knocking again. Pause. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Pause. "Aaron," he called. I locked myself in the bathroom and sat on the edge of the bath with the knife on my lap. The operator kept talking to me, calm and steady, asking questions I could barely answer. My address, my name, whether I had seen a weapon, whether there was another way into the flat. "No," I said, "just the front door." Then I remembered the note. "Bedroom window faces service alley." My bedroom window. The one I had opened earlier because the flat smelled of paint and damp clothes. I stood so fast the knife clattered into the bath. "What is it?" the operator asked. "My bedroom window." "Is someone trying to get in?" "I don't know." "Stay where you are if the bathroom door locks." The problem was, from the bathroom I couldn't see the bedroom. I couldn't see the hallway. I couldn't see anything. The flat went quiet. That was worse than the knocking. For a few seconds, all I could hear was the operator breathing through my phone and my own heart hammering in my ears. Then my bedroom door creaked. I had left it open. I knew I had, but I heard it creak. The sound was slow and careful. The sound of someone touching the door with their fingertips and pushing it wider. "He's inside," I whispered. The operator said the police were close. Close didn't mean inside the flat. Close didn't mean between me and him. A floorboard moved in the hallway, then another. He was walking toward the bathroom. I picked the knife back up and stood behind the door. My legs felt weak. I remember thinking I was going to die in pajamas, which is a stupid thing to think, but it was there in my head. I was going to die, barefoot in my old pajamas, with Thai food cooling on the coffee table. The bathroom handle dipped. Once, twice. Then his voice came through the door. "You should have taken the drink." I covered my mouth with my hand. He laughed quietly. "I'm not angry," he said. "You just made it messy." The door moved in the frame as he pressed his shoulder against it. The bathroom lock was a tiny silver turn lock, the kind you use when someone might accidentally walk in while you're brushing your teeth. It was never meant to keep anyone out. He pressed again. Wood cracked near the latch. The operator was saying something I couldn't understand. Then there was a bang from downstairs. A voice shouted, "Police!" The pressure left the door. For 1 second I thought he had run. Then the bathroom door burst open. He came through with his hood still up and a screwdriver in his right hand. I swung the knife without thinking. It caught his arm. He shouted and slammed into me, knocking me back against the sink hard enough to crack the mirror. I dropped the knife. He grabbed my wrist and squeezed so hard my fingers went numb. "Stupid," he said. That was all he got out. 2 officers came down the hallway shouting. One of them hit him from the side and they both went into the bath. The other officer pulled me into the hallway and kept saying, "You're safe, you're safe, you're safe," even though I didn't feel safe. I don't think I have felt safe since. They arrested him in my bathroom. His name was Daniel Price. At least that was the name he gave them. He wasn't the delivery driver signed to my order. The real driver was someone named Melissa, who had been found in her car 3 states away, unconscious but alive. Someone had hit her from behind after she collected my food. Daniel had taken her phone, her thermal bag, and her jacket. That would have been bad enough. Then they searched his car. They found printed receipts, dozens of them, maybe more. Names, addresses, notes. Some were crossed out. Some had ticks next to them. Mine had a circle around it. The police wouldn't tell me much. They never do. They kept using words like ongoing investigation and potential link and recovered items, but one officer told me something by accident. He said the others were lucky too. Then he stopped talking. Others. I stayed with Lewis that night, which tells you how scared I was. I sat on his sofa until morning and watched the rain run down the window. He made tea and kept apologizing for things that had nothing to do with him. By midday, I'd convinced myself it was over. Daniel was arrested. Melissa was alive. The police had the receipts. The locks were being changed, and I would move again if I had to. Then my phone buzzed. A notification from the delivery app. I stared at it, confused because I had deleted the app in the police station. I had watched it disappear from my screen. But there it was. Your driver is nearby. I opened the notification. The map showed a little bike icon moving down Lewis's street. I stood up so quickly I spilled tea over my leg. Lewis asked what was wrong. The bike icon stopped outside his house. Then the doorbell rang. Lewis went pale. No, I said, don't. He walked to the front window and looked through the curtain. There's no one there, he said. My phone buzzed again. Your driver is at your door. Then another message appeared. Forgot your drink. That was 3 days ago. I'm writing this from a hotel room under a name that isn't mine. The police have my phone now. They said there was no active order, no driver, no record of any notification being sent. But I saw it. Lewis saw the doorbell camera too. Empty porch, no one there. Just 3 knocks recorded by the audio. 3 soft knocks. Pause. 3 more soft knocks. Pause. I don't know whether Daniel had someone working with him. I don't know whether he set something up before they arrested him. I don't know why the app keeps coming back on my phone, on every phone I borrow, or why the notifications know where I am before I tell anyone. All I know is this. If you order food late at night and the driver says he forgot your drink, tell him to leave it outside. Do not open the door. Do not check the hallway. Do not believe the people. And if your phone says the driver's nearby after you've already deleted the app, get out before he knocks. Because last night at 10:43, someone slipped a receipt under my hotel room door. It had my fake name on it, my room number, no dog, traveling alone, bathroom lock weak. At the bottom, written in pen, there were 4 words. You still seem thirsty. Sounds like she probably should have just selected leave at door, huh? And with that, we've reached the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching the whole way through. If you're enjoying this style of content, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment with things I can improve on. I'm always looking for things I can do better, or different categories of things I could read for these videos, whatever. But overall, thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.